Do you ever feel like a failure because you have a ton of half-finished projects? Maybe you have a dusty guitar, a half-coded website, or you suddenly wanted to learn jiu-jitsu. You probably feel a deep sense of shame. Society calls people like you a dilettante. They say you're chaotic or that you just don't have the focus to stick with one thing. You feel like an impostor because you can't just pick one path and stay on it. You know the phrase, jack of all trades, master of none, and you use it to punish yourself. But you're forgetting the full quote. The whole thing is, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. Psychology says this feeling of being scattered is not a flaw. It's a very adaptable brain. You aren't failing to specialize. You are actually building a rare and powerful brain structure called the M-shaped mind. The world tells you to focus, focus, focus. But your brain is preparing you for a future where being too specialized is actually a big risk. Before we explain why your chaos is actually a survival strategy, let me know in the comments where you are watching from. And if you love deep dives into psychology, subscribe now for more interesting videos. To understand why you feel this anxiety, we have to look at a lie you were taught. For the last century, the world was like an I-shaped game. It rewarded people who dug one hole a mile deep. This was a kind learning environment, like golf, where the rules never change. If you practiced your swing for 10,000 hours, you are guaranteed to win. But you don't live in a kind environment. Your brain knows the modern world is a wicked environment. The rules change every single day. In a wicked environment, the specialist is fragile. If their industry changes, they become useless. This is why you naturally drift. One year, you're obsessed with electrical wiring, and the next, you are deep into yoga, heavy lifting, and DJing. To others, this appears to be a chaotic personality. They might call you strange or unfocused. But here is what you are really doing. You are collecting important knowledge from completely different areas. This is where the magic happens. Psychology calls this far transfer. The specialist uses near transfer. They solve problems they've seen before using the same old tools. But you use far transfer. You take a big idea from one totally unrelated field and apply it to another. Think about a web developer who used to be a beekeeper and a farmer. On paper, those hobbies have nothing to do with coding. But that farming experience helps them understand organic systems and growth cycles in a way a specialist coder who only stares at a screen could never grasp. They aren't just writing code. They are cultivating an ecosystem. That is far transfer. That is innovation. You feel like an impostor because you're not the best at any one thing. But you're missing the point. Your value is not in your depth. It's in your ability to connect things. Understanding that your curiosity is a superpower is a huge relief. But it doesn't instantly solve the biggest problem: burnout and the feeling of being behind in life. You see friends your age becoming senior VPs or lead engineers, and you feel like you're stuck at the starting line because you keep switching tracks. This happens because you misunderstand the shape of your own potential. You are not T-shaped, general knowledge with one specialty. You are M-shaped. An M-shaped person has multiple pillars of depth connected by a bridge of curiosity. But here is the trap. You cannot build all the pillars of the M at the same time. If you try to learn data science, write a novel, and start a business all in the same month, you will crash. The people who succeed with this M-shaped life, the true polymaths practice what we call serial mastery. You have to look at your life in seasons. You might spend your 20s completely obsessed with music and art. Then, in your 30s, you pivot to programming to make a living. You didn't quit art. You just finished that season of construction. I heard a story about a 53-year-old who finally found peace with this. He realized he couldn't choose art over programming. So, he let programming be the pillar that paid the bills, while music, philosophy, and game design were the other pillars he worked on during nights and weekends. He actually turned down high-demand team lead positions to keep his work week at 30 hours. He protected his mental energy. He didn't try to merge them all instantly. He let them exist one after another. Eventually, they all merged into his personal video game projects. That is the M-shape in action. There is one final psychological trait you have that makes you bulletproof, and it comes from nature. It's called redundancy. In nature, redundancy is a strength, not a waste. Elephants rarely get cancer because they have massive genetic redundancy, multiple copies of the same cancer-fighting gene. If one fails, another takes over. Your chaotic interests are your redundancy. If you are just a specialist software engineer and AI takes your job, you are terrified. But if you are a software engineer who also knows electrical wiring, how to fix HVAC motors, and how to teach English, you are unbreakable. You haven't been wasting your time dabbling. You have been engaging in strategic adaptability. You have been building a safety net of skills that ensures no matter what happens to the economy, technology, or the job market, you have a pivot ready. So stop saying sorry for your graveyard of hobbies. Those weren't failures. They were semesters in the university of your own making. You were never meant to be just one thing. You were built to be the bridge between worlds that others can't even see. If you are ready to embrace your M-shaped future, drop a heart emoji in the comments to show you're prepared to put this all together. And if you want the deep research on how to structure your seasons, subscribe now to learn more.